Hey guys, it's Sunday. Hope everyone's having a great weekend. Today's video, I thought I'd cover a little bit about Giants Live Wembley. It's coming up in 2 weeks' time, July 6th, and I just wanted to talk a little bit around the 501 kilo deadlift and what I personally think will or won't happen on the day. It's been a while coming, a couple of years now. Eddie Hall has held that record for quite some time, 500 kilos. I was there. It happened. One of the greatest lifts of all time, and if anyone was going to do it, it was going to be Eddie. I mean, he put himself through so much to get to that lift. He now sort of posts a lot of his older videos in training, and you can just see he was well on his way to pulling that weight. I think he was doing singles at 450 for speed reps, which is just crazy. So where are we now? We're a few years further down the line, and Giants Live are going to try and do it again. So they've titled this the Half-Ton Hunter. They're looking for who is the greatest deadlifter in the world. So I've got a list of names here, and there's quite a lot of people. So I was shocked. I thought normally these shows would have 12 people, maybe 14. There's more than that here. There's more names. So they really are going to town on trying to break this record. So what I wanted to do is just go through the athletes that they've got, talk about them in my limited knowledge to what I've seen online and where I think they may or may not place, and maybe some updates on stuff in case you guys have missed it. So first name on the list, and I'm not sure if this is just the deadlift or if he's doing the full comp. If he's doing the full comp, it will be pretty decent. It's Brian Shaw. So Brian Shaw's just coming off of a 6th place at World's Strongest Man last weekend. Where did that week go? And he's coming in to do, I know he's coming in to do the deadlift. So what do we think Brian's going to be capable of pulling? So Brian's basically a great deadlifter, very, very capable, has pulled over 1,000 pounds multiple times. So we're talking in the sort of 460 to 470 kilo range. The second greatest deadlift of all time, I think that's held by Jerry Pritchett and Benny Magnussen at 465. And that was done at the last Giants Live Deadlift Challenge. Brian is more than capable of breaking that record. So if they don't manage to, or if no one manages to beat the 501, I think the fans will be really lucky to see the second heaviest deadlift of all time. And that's my personal feelings. I think that's what's going to happen. I think somewhere between 470 and 480, maybe 485 is going to be the absolute max lift at this moment in time from what I've seen. I might be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. But that's my thoughts on where the max lift is going to be. But back to Brian, I feel Brian's probably, he's going to be a little bit beaten up from Worlds. He's had a little bit of time to recover. There's still 2 weeks to go. Deadlift-wise, I see Brian coming in second in this Deadlift Championships, and he's going to be pulling somewhere between 465 and 470 kilos. That's my personal opinion, for whatever that's worth. Next athlete on the list I've got is Mateusz Kieliszkowski from Poland. Mateusz is not a great deadlifter. It's probably one of his only weaknesses, but he's there for the full competition in Wembley. So the deadlift is just the first event, and so all athletes will do the deadlift, and then for those that are doing the full show, they have to do the other 4 or 5 events. For some guys, they're just guest lifters, so they just come in for the deadlift, which is kind of great because you get the opportunity to meet these new names, these powerlifters and these sort of genetic freaks that these guys are trying to hunt down as part of this sort of half-ton hunter program that they're trying to do. So Mateusz's deadlift, where do we see it at? He can definitely pull 400 kilos. So I'm thinking it's going to be there or thereabouts. So between 400 and 420 maybe. I think 420 would be a good day for Mateusz. So I don't see him winning the deadlift, but I see him getting some decent points going into the competition. Next athlete on the list is Iron Bibi. So Czech Sanu, he didn't go to Worlds this year. I spoke to him, he said he didn't feel quite ready at this moment in time, had a few niggles, and it's the biggest stage for Strongman, so you want to go into that 110%. And so fair play to him, he's made the call. Most people would just go anyway, but he didn't want a subpar performance. So Iron Bibi's basically held back, and he's now ready, not injured, hopefully 100% for the Wembley show, and he will be doing the full show. So his deadlifts come on leaps and bounds. I think he's, from videos I've seen, he's sort of around the sort of high 300 marks, 380, 390. So I expect Iron Bibby on a good day to pull 400. I think 400's the standard now. It used to be records, but I think that's now the standard for people to be placing decently in these shows. And that does show us how the sport has progressed over the last few years, where weights are just getting crazy. After Iron Bibby, I've got Adam Bishop. So Adam was at Worlds recently, made the final. He's a good deadlifter also. So actually, deadlift for reps was something he did very, very well at Worlds. But this is not for reps, this is for max. So where do I see Adam's max? I think Adam was doing around between 400 and 420 also. I think looking at the list of names, actually, there's going to be quite a cluster of guys in that 400 to 420 sort of space. And I don't actually know what the lifts are, because historically giants have called the weights, whereas the athletes like to say, well, I want to add, I don't know, a kilo or 5 kilos, like they do at the Arnold, you know, so they can pick where they're going to sort of slot in between. Because what's the point of everyone pulling 420? I suppose giants haven't got all day either. They can't have the whole show being the deadlift show, which is what kind of happened last time with Eddie. But, you know, it was such a great lift. I suppose it was kind of worth it in the end. But Adam's going to be pulling around, you know, just over 400 in my opinion. Benedict Magnussen, one of the big names coming back to the sport, coming back to do the deadlift. Lots of excitement around that. I posted something when it was first announced quite a while ago now, and I think it had over 400 likes. But people really want to see Benny back, and he's had a hamstring injury, I believe. So that's going to hamper him in his max lift attempt. So I don't think he's going to do the 465 he did last time. I think I've got Benny down. He said he's rehabbing. He's got 2 weeks to go. Sort of 300 kilos was going to be good for him, and I think he said the hamstring is holding up. And this is Benny Magnussen we're talking about, so I wouldn't be surprised if he pulls out 400 on the day. But I don't know how good or bad his injury currently is, but I still think Benny's a great deadlifter, one of the greatest, if not the greatest of all time. So he's going to be gunning for a decent placing. He won't want to lift if he's not going to be able to pull anything near the 400 mark. I'm not actually sure what the first lift is. It could be 400. I think it was last time. So some of these guys may actually find themselves getting knocked out quite quickly, and then we're going to really get down to it. After Benny, I've got Constantine Genosha. Wow, he recently pulled 460 in a video in a gym. I'm guessing it's in Georgia, and it didn't look too bad. Lots of he fought that weight to get it to the top there, but he did it. But Constantine's had an injury also. Recently competing at World's Strongest Man, he made the final, coming 10th. But unfortunately, in the overhead press, I think he went to do the circus dumbbell, and as he went to press it, he tore all this sort of area here, and you can see there's a picture with some quite big bruising on his arm. So how much does that affect your deadlift, guys? I'm not a PT, I don't know, but probably a little bit. So not quite sure where to put Constantine, if I'm honest. I don't know whether that means he's out of the competition or whether it means he's just going to carry on. His name is still on the list that I'm aware of. So Constantine, I hope you're getting better, buddy. But I just don't know what you're going to pull on this particular show. It'd be great to see you pull a big number, but don't do it if it's going to cause you more problems. But yeah, Constantine, get well soon. We've got announcers as Bill Kazmaier, and you've also got Eddie Hall's going to be doing some commentary. I think Magnus Magnussen's also there too. It's going to be quite a showdown between Kaz and Magnus on Hercules hold. Kaz is going to win. Come on, Kaz. I know you're going to do it. Kaz is coming back. I think he's a little bit tired of watching the guys going at it, and I think he just wants a piece of the action. And if anyone remembers Bill Kazmaier of old, he's not a half competitor. He's going to go 100% at this. So looking forward to seeing who wins on the Hercules hold, and hopefully that will lead to more legends coming out. There's so many great strongmen that are still really strong. It'd be nice to see them back, even if just for a one-show event. I think Giants have done something good here. You know, they don't just want to be on the microphone. These guys are more than capable of doing something and performing as well at this age or this time in their life. So next up we have Luke Stockton. Luke did really well at World's Strongest Man, also making the finals. So he's going to be buzzing from last week. Anyway, so Luke's deadlift, I believe he's also top 300s or 400 oddish. So Luke's going to fall into that pack of people I was talking about, where they're all going to be fighting for that. For whoever makes that slightly heavier lift, whether it's 425 or 430, whatever the guys are allowed to go for, that's really what's going to set them apart in points for the remainder of the Giant Show. Jerry Pritchett, this is my guy to win. Jerry is, I believe, the best deadlifter on the planet. He's just occasionally had the odd injury, but when you watch back, the 465 he lifted at the same time as Eddie Hall and Benedict Magnussen, Jerry Pritchett was not wearing a suit. Now, some people will say, so, who cares? That doesn't do much. But if it didn't, then why was everyone else wearing a suit? And why do they wear suits at Worlds? Because it does help. It's got to help. So Jerry's actually had a suit made for him. I spoke to Jerry the other day, and he's ready. He's got a suit that he's going to be using. His training's going well. The most recent pull he's done is 452.5. I don't know if he was wearing the suit or not at that point, but it didn't look like a problem. It was like a semi-speed rep. So that's why I've got Jerry down to win the deadlift competition. I think he's going to pull somewhere around 470, 475, breaking his previous record, and he will then hold the second heaviest deadlift of all time. That's my opinion. I think Jerry's got this. As long as nothing happens in the next 2 weeks and his training goes to plan and he gets the right amount of rest and everything goes well, I think Jerry's going to win this time. Next up, Larry Wheels. So Larry's coming to London. He's going to be doing the full show as well. So this is his chance to show us. Is it all hype or has he got what it takes? Larry, in my opinion, is come on leaps and bounds. He's initially a powerlifter. He dabbled in bodybuilding for a while, and now he's coming to step on our land and try a bit of strongman. So hopefully Larry can do well. Larry's a really good deadlifter. He's put on some videos where he's lifting with straps and we're pulling around 410, 415. So I think Larry, what have I got him down for? I don't see Larry pulling more than 420, which again puts him in that sort of pack of people. But to pull that at this sort of time in his strongman career is amazing. He's only been doing it for less than a year now. But I think he's going to do well. And if you look at the other events in the competition, Larry has a chance to do reasonably well. I mean, the events we've got, there's a safe press, which they've done before, where they've got, it's like a yoke with safes at the bottom and you've just got to overhead press it for reps. Larry recently did that for 3 reps quite easily in a video that I shared. They've got a farmer's walk. That will probably be the one where he's a little bit slower than the others. So I think farmers is going to be the one where he loses the most points. Atlas Stones, that will be another interesting outing for him, because doing it in training is not the same as in front of that massive crowd, and I don't know how competent he is at those kind of weights. But I don't think Larry will mess up. I think he'll do reasonably well. He'll shock everyone, because so many people are just writing him off as a presser, but he does seem to be an all-round athlete, and he is an athlete, so let's not forget that. He has been training in some way, shape or form for many years now. So that's Larry. Lawrence Charlet, unfortunately, has had to pull out. He was injured at World's Strongest Man. Lawrence has got quite a bad tear. I think it's to his Achilles or to his foot area. So he's out for the year. He said he's got to do lots of rehab and get back to full health before he can consider doing any sort of strongman shows. So it's really bad news for Lawrence. Where would he have sort of placed in the deadlift? Lawrence has pulled 435, so I think if we had 100% loss on the stage, 440 wouldn't have been out of his reach on a good day. Maybe even 450 if it was if he was really pushing the boundaries and he was on his A game. But hope Loz gets better soon. I can't imagine what it's like, not to be able to do anything. It's bad enough having a rest day, let alone a rest year. But let's hope Lawrence gets back to his best as soon as possible. Next athlete on the list is Tom Stockton. So Tom, really, really well, came 5th at World's Strongest Man, beating Brian Shaw. So this shows that Tom is actually coming into his own now. For many years, people have said he's the next big name, he's the next big thing. And finally, he's just broken into that sort of elite top pack of athletes at Worlds, which is kind of where some of us gauge where people are. Tom's never made the final, so that was the first final for him. He made it with his brother, so that was the first ever final with brothers. And then he actually made 5th place, and he was doing really, really well. So if he can work on a handful of his weaknesses, which very minor. I mean, he won the loading medley, so he even won an event. So Tom's on his way basically, and he's really good at stones as well. So he should do well at the overall comp. But deadlift wise, I think Tom is probably around a 400 kilo 410. But again, you can never tell on these things. On the day, they could always pull a little bit more, or maybe even a little bit less. We've also got Mark Felix. Mark Felix is doing the full show. So I think Mark's a good deadlifter. He should be good for around 420 to 430. So Mark should probably be at the top of that pack of people that are all going to be pulling around the same weight. Great to see Mark still competing. Last year he said that was it. He was done. I think, was it Britain's Strongest Man? So maybe it was earlier this year. It's flying by, isn't it? We're already in June. So yeah, great to see Mark back. I think he'll place well. I think he'll have a good show at the Wembley event. But I don't see him winning the deadlift event, as that's what we're covering right now. There's a new name, Nedzmin Ambaskovic. I think that's how you say that. Exciting. It's always great to see someone different. So I've got him placing 3rd. He's put a video online pulling 440, and I think he's capable of anywhere between 450 and 460 right now. So just below Brian and Jerry. I think Nedzmin's going to do really well. He doesn't seem to be injured. He didn't, he hasn't had any issues in training. All of his lifts are looking strong. And with the Giants events, they always come in their absolute peak. They peak for that show, so they get their training on point, so that when it comes to game day, that's the day they expect to lift their heaviest. So if that's 440 in a gym, then 450 to 460 is a realistic figure in my mind for the show. You can also tell on the speed of the rep. So if they're really struggling to lock out, or if they're overly hitching and things like that, then they're nearly at their max. So there was none of that. So I feel Nedzmin's going to do really well. Next up, Martins Lisis, World's Strongest Man. Congrats to him again. He'll be excited. So it's his first chance to come back to the UK. Big welcome for Martins when he gets there, everyone. I know you will anyway. But it'll be great to see the World's Strongest Man competing in the UK weeks after he's won the title. Martin's also a good deadlifter. I think he's going to be in the sort of between 4th and 5th in this event. So I think he's going to be pulling between 440 and 460 also. I'm just not sure where he's going to fit between Nedzmin and another athlete that I've got listed as well here. We've got Mikhail Shivlyakov. He's going to be competing. Mikhail's a good deadlifter. He'll be deadlifting sort of between 420 to 440. And Rauno Heinler also lifting. Rauno's a good deadlifter, and I've got him down as lifting between 440 and 450, so just above those guys. And a name that I can't see on the list that Giants have put up is an Irish guy called Pete Bremner. I thought he was going. He might still be going. His deadlifts have been looking incredible online. He's been deadlifting really well for quite some time now, and recently flew out to Columbus, Ohio to train with Louis Simmons at Westside Barbell. So that will be interesting to see how his training's progressed since then. I'm sure he's got loads of secret deadlift tips from Louis. So his deadlift last time he's posted is sort of around 420 to 440. I think he's going to hit 450 on the day. So I've got Pete, if he is lifting, sort of in the top 5. So that's my thoughts on the deadlift. Most of the athletes there, I think they're still going. Only Loz is the one that I'm 100% is not going to be competing, although I'm sure he'll be in attendance. If anyone's got any news on Genosha, that would be great to see if he's going to be going. I'm not going to be going, but I might cover it if people are interested, like World's Strongest Man. I'm happy to do little videos and share scores on my page. Julian Howard Strongman Promoter. So if you want to follow that page, if you don't already, I try my best to sort of share a little variance of stuff, not always the same stuff. I've also got the Instagram page, World's Strongest Fan, and the YouTube channel, which I haven't really done much on YouTube. Lots of people are, but you've only got so much time in the day. If you work full time, and if you're just like a fan like we are, there's only so much you can do. But I hope everyone enjoyed the video. I might do another one on the events at the Giants Wembley show a bit later on today. So hope you're all having a good Sunday, and I'll catch you guys a little bit later. Speak to you soon. Bye.